Ever heard someone say a handful of sugar in the tank will melt your engine? It sounds dramatic, and it's been passed around parking lots and high school hallways for decades. Here's the twist. The sugar in the tank legend isn't the instant engine death people think it is, but the mess it leaves behind. That can still cost real money if you don't handle it the right way. Welcome to our YouTube channel, where we explain car problems in plain English so you can stay ahead of your repairs and keep more money in your pocket. Let's start with what actually happens on a chemical level in normal words. Gasoline is non-polar. Table sugar is polar. Those two don't mix. Like dissolves like is the rule, so sugar doesn't dissolve in gas. It doesn't turn into syrup, it doesn't caramelize in your cylinders. It behaves like grit. It sinks to the bottom of the tank and rides around as tiny crystals that can clog your fuel system. That's the core truth people miss. There is one modern wrinkle. Today's fuel often has ethanol mixed in. Ethanol is more friendly with water and with sugar than plain gasoline is. If there's a little water at the bottom of the tank from condensation, some sugar can partially dissolve into that water-ethanol layer. Not enough to coat your pistons with candy, but enough to make sticky sludge in the lowest parts of the system. So, the myth of sugar becomes molasses and seizes the engine is false, but the part about causing trouble down in the tank and lines is absolutely real. So what goes wrong in practice? Think of your fuel system as a chain with several fine filters meant to keep junk out of the engine. Sugar behaves like sand in that chain. First stop is the pickup inside the tank. Most cars use an in-tank electric fuel pump with a small screen or sock on the inlet. That screen can get covered in sugary grit. When that happens, the pump struggles, overheats, and the engine starves for fuel. If enough gets past that first screen, it heads for the main fuel filter. That filter is designed to catch microscopic dirt, which means sugar granules are gigantic by comparison. The filter clogs, your fuel pressure drops, and you feel sluggish acceleration, stalling at stops, or a no start. It's doing its job, but your car won't run right. Could sugar reach the injectors? It's unlikely in a modern setup because of the filtration, but if a lot of crystals get stirred up and the filter has already been overwhelmed, some can slip through and plug the tiny screens inside the injectors. When that happens, you'll get a rough idle, misfires, or dead cylinders. In older carbureted cars, think way back, unfiltered grit could make it farther, but today's cars are built to block that kind of debris long before it reaches hot metal. That's why the engine itself usually survives. Here's the part that catches owners off guard. On many newer vehicles, the main fuel filter lives inside the tank as part of the pump module. That means you can't just pop a new cheap canister under the car like the old days. Dropping the tank, cleaning it out, and replacing the in-tank pump assembly is often the fix. It's not glamorous, but it works. If you ever suspect someone poured sugar into your tank, your smartest move is simple and urgent. Do not start the engine. Don't even crank it. Towing is cheaper than pushing sugar through your lines. The minute the pump spins, it begins moving crystals toward the filter and possibly the injectors. If the car is already running poorly, sputtering, losing power, shut it off and stop circulating the junk. What does a proper repair look like? A good shop starts at the source. The tank comes down. The fuel is drained into a safe container and recycled. You don't reuse it. Because sugar doesn't dissolve in gas, just draining won't remove it all. The trick is water. Sugar dissolves in water fast, so the inside of the tank is rinsed and sloshed until the crystals are gone. Then, everything has to dry thoroughly. Sun, air, or gentle heat, because you don't want water back in your fuel system. The filler neck gets cleaned too, because that's usually where the sugar went in. From the tank forward, the lines are cleared. Water is a bad idea in the lines, so shops use isopropyl alcohol to chase out moisture and leftover bits, followed by compressed air to dry everything down. The fuel rail gets the same treatment. If the injectors were affected, they're cleaned on a bench with a reverse flush. If they won't clear up, they're replaced. The filter is always replaced. If it's integrated with the pump, as it is on many cars, the whole pump module goes in new. It's not the cheapest part on a car, but it restores the system and protects the engine from future problems. Let's talk numbers so you can plan.
If the mess is caught early and limited, you might get away with a new filter and fresh fuel for a couple $100s. If the tank has to come down and the pump module is replaced, you're usually looking at several hundred to a bit over 1,000 depending on the vehicle and labor rates. Add injector cleaning or replacement and the bill can climb. That's the reason this prank still shows up in movies. Maybe not engine killing, but it's a wallet punch. Quick pause at halftime. If this breakdown is helping you sort fact from fiction, hit like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow and it lets me keep bringing you straight answers without fluff. Back to prevention and real-world decisions. A locking gas cap is cheap insurance. It won't stop a determined thief with tools, but it will stop casual vandalism. Park in well-lit, visible spots. Cameras help. If you find gritty crystals under the cap or in the filler neck, call a tow before you touch the key. Let's zoom out for a second. Is sugar the worst thing that can hit your fuel system? Not even close. Water is far more common and can stall a car by itself because your engine can't burn water. Thankfully, mild water contamination is often cleared with drying additives and a tank refresh. Severe water still means draining the tank. Harsh chemicals like bleach or salty solutions are much nastier. They corrode metal parts, eat through lines, and can ruin a tank and the engine if they travel far enough. Plain sand acts a lot like sugar. It clogs screens and filters and grinds up pumps. The takeaway is simple. Any foreign solid in the tank is bad news, but sugar's damage is about clogging and pump stress, not melting pistons. Why doesn't sugar make caramel inside the engine? Even if some fine dust got past the filters, the fuel-air mixture and combustion process don't turn sugar into sticky candy in your cylinders. The temperatures and timing are all wrong, and more importantly, filters are there to prevent crystals from getting that far. What can bake on is residue from bad fuel or oil blowing past worn rings, but that's a different problem with different symptoms. If you're dealing with a suspected sugaring on a modern car, here's the calm, smart sequence. Tow the car, drop and clean the tank with water, dry it completely, clean the filler neck, flush the lines with alcohol and air, replace the filter, and, if required by the design, the pump module. Inspect and clean injectors, replace any that don't respond. Refill with good fuel. Reset fuel trims if needed. Test drive while watching fuel pressure and misfire counters. If you follow that path, you're not trying to save contaminated fuel. You're removing the source and protecting the engine the right way. One last piece of practical advice for owners of newer vehicles. Because the filter is often inside the tank, waiting until the car barely runs can turn a $300 problem into a $1,200 one. Early symptoms, hard starts, bogging down on hills, sudden loss of power under load, deserve attention right away if you have any reason to suspect contamination. You can't run it out of the system. The filter will just keep loading up until you're stuck. So, here's the bottom line you can keep and share. Sugar in a gas tank doesn't dissolve into goo, and it doesn't instantly kill engines. It drops to the bottom, clogs the pickup, chokes the filter, overworks the pump, and might plug injectors if things get really stirred up. It's almost always fixable with a tank clean, fresh fuel, line flushes, and new filtration, and sometimes a new pump and some injector work. The sooner you stop the car and address it, the cheaper it stays. A $6 locking cap and smart parking are the best defense against the prank in the first place. If you found this helpful, give the video a thumbs up and share it with someone dealing with a no-start problem right now. And if you want more car advice explained in plain English, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can stay one step ahead of your repairs and keep more money in your pocket. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.